This is my networking rack. A couple of months ago, I posted a video about how I built my first networking rack and it got crazy amount of views. Like, where did all of y'all come from? Did somebody repost my video somewhere? Cause that was crazy. So today I'm going to show you how I set up my home and office network to be secure as well as convenient for my needs and still allow me to use smart home equipment that might not necessarily have the best security standards. I love being able to control my home with smart tech, but I also realize the implications of doing so. So I have taken that into consideration when I was building out my LAN and my wireless access for my network. This video will be long, but I am going to walk you through how I set up my Ubiquiti UDM Pro for a home office with high security standards, as well as for a house with a bunch of smart home IoT devices. Hello, I am Shannon Morse. Welcome to Morse Code. If you like videos about security, privacy, and networking, make sure to subscribe down below. Let's jump into securing my home network. Now, one important step I had to do, particularly with my ISP, was switch my ISP's modem over to the Ubiquiti Dream Machine Pro. Now, you know, anytime you get a new modem, you gotta set it up with your ISP and they have to allow the connection. Same thing applies with my fiber connection and my UDM Pro. I wanted to completely disconnect my ISP's box from my network entirely and replace it with the UDM Pro, not bridge it. My ISP offers a modem for free and I used it for a while since my plan was to eventually just upgrade to a networking rack setup, so I didn't want to buy one off the shelf as like a holdover. But now that I have this set up, the ISP's box is sitting in my closet as a backup in the event that I ever need it. But I've been running this equipment for about 9 months now and I have not needed it since. To switch from the ISP's setup to my own, the first step was to find the ISP's modem and log into the admin panel to figure out what the PPPoE login information was, which was different than my admin login information. The Ubiquiti equipment can be set up on the WAN as PPPoE DHCP with a username and a password, but I had to get that information from my ISP because it was not provided when I originally set up my account with them. This allowed me to bypass their provided box. So in the UDM Pro, I go over to Settings, Internet, WAN, Edit, switch IPv4 connection to PPPoE, enable VLAN ID, change the ID to 201, and under IPv4, the username should equal your ISP username and the password, then choose Apply Changes. Now, I also had to put their box in bridge mode so it would stop doing the PPPoE connection itself. This mode passed through the connection to the UDM Pro so that the UDM Pro could get that public IP address and actually connect to the internet. This also helps with avoiding any kind of issues with having a double NAT or a double firewall. Earlier, I said this was particularly for my network and for my ISP. PPPoE is not necessary for all ISPs, but for mine it was. Some ISPs just may need you to put their box in bridge mode and use DHCP on the Ubiquiti WAN, but my ISP did need that PPPoE login information added to the UDM Pro in order for it to work right. I did have to chat with customer service via their online portal to find the required information, but that was pretty much the biggest hurdle in this setup. So I did want to make sure to mention that just in case anybody else ran into that problem. Once that was done, we had internet. So next up is the UDM Pro setup, but I do appreciate y'all for supporting my content. So I wanted to say a shout out to my newest Buy Me a Coffee s'mores, including Grant, Roger, Det Wingman, and Anonymous. Links are below for ways that you can snag access to bonus content by becoming a s'more supporter. Thank you. All right, back to the UDM. You will see both older firmware and newer firmware in this video, so just keep that in mind if you skip around. Once I got my UDM connected to the interwebs, I was able to find my UDM from my desktop via 192.168.1.1, the usual modem home address. And also, if you are trying to connect to your UDM Pro from the same wired network, you can also access it via unify.ui.com. Just throwing that out there as well. Upon first boot, it will tell you you your unified dream machine is connected to the internet. So hit next and follow the on-screen steps. It's pretty easy. The first step is to name your UDM Pro whatever you want. I named mine a weeb anime nickname because it's a thing I do and I am a weeb and I'm okay with that. After that, hit next and it will tell you to either log into your UI.com account or create a new UI.com account if you've never set up one before. This is my first UDM Pro, so I am setting up an account for the first time. Since this is used to manage my network as an admin portal, I'm going to skip this page in this video. This is the account that you want to keep safe and secure, so skipping over that part. Okay, so the account is created. Next is update schedule. Now I have mine set to update weekly on Sunday nights at 3 a.m. It is so important to update routinely, especially in the day and age of attacks like Log4j and Log4Shell, which, no surprise, the Ubiquiti equipment was vulnerable to before patches. So always update your things, people. Oh, but Shannon, I can hear the comments now. What about bugs that you might experience with new firmware? Factory wipe it or roll back. Next step. Configuration lets you choose whether you want your network to auto-optimize, as in just let it set up the most commonly used and important settings for you. And you can also enable sending of diagnostic and performance information to Ubiquiti. Now I keep this disabled, but I do turn on auto-optimize for convenience sake. This is a home network after all, so I want to keep it as easy as cake, especially if I am not home to fix a problem. The UDM Pro will do some speed tests. So here you can see that I was getting about half my regular download speed, but full upload on my fiber connection, so that's not bad at all. I did adjust the set speeds in the GUI since I do have fiber to the door. This next page allows you to review your settings and finish setup, and then you can wait for the device to get ready. Now, once it's all set up, this will take you to your main portal screen, where if you have multiple devices or networks, you will be able to choose whichever device you want to log into. So here's my main page. It's brand new on an older firmware. I did want to mention that again, showing that I have nothing connected yet except for a switch, and that is my UniFi Switch 24PoE. Anytime I add a new device, it will show up on this network map. So clicking into devices shows me my UniFi Switch on its new IP and the option to adopt or upgrade. Click Adopt to add it to your network. I got a few questions on the last episode that asked me why I had a Wi-Fi AP inside my networking rack. Now the reason why is because I was in the process of adopting it to my network. It was really easy to do since I just plugged it into the same port that my old access point, my old Wi-Fi router, would have eventually been plugged into as well. Now that way, once I was ready to mount this new AP to the ceiling, I would just need to remove the old one, which was currently mounted, plug the new one into the PoE cable, and I was done. It was way better than mounting it and then setting it up in the event that there was an issue. There was a ladder involved because it was going on the ceiling. So yeah, I did it the easy way. The next time you see a Wi-Fi AP sitting in a metal rack, don't just make the assumption that it will be there forever. I mean, honestly, it's like I didn't have anything to do with Wi-Fi pineapples and antennas for the past decade. I know a little bit about how Wi-Fi works. Please give me that credit, okay? Okay, going back to the dashboard, and you can see that there are two devices connected, the UDM Pro and my Switch. So at this point, I can plug in all of my client devices and decide which ports they are going to plug into on the Switch. Now, I have a lot of IoT smart home devices, plus each room in the house is also wired, and I have a ton of wireless products too. And I also review a ton of products as well that I commonly need to plug in. So this list includes all of the things, and it will show you which port they are connected through. If you see multiple clients all connected to the same port, it's likely because they are all connected to the same Wi-Fi access point, and that AP is connected through that port number. If you click on the ports, that will bring up a layout of your switch. You can edit the port names, or you can restart the devices if they are powered over PoE. So from looking at this menu, you can tell that I have two Wi-Fi APs, port 5 and 6, and if you click on clients, you can see all of them listed under the switch as well. Now I did pause here to go through the update process since it's as simple as checking the settings and updating as needed, but this did get me into the new GUI as well. So I also went to the devices and I did a device upgrade on my 24-port switch, so that way everything is fully up to date and ready. Now, under Internet, we see our IP address for the WAN, and now there's a WAN 2. Edit WAN 1 and check settings. In Wi-Fi, add a new Wi-Fi network. Now this is where you can create your SSID so that you can use Wi-Fi. I named mine the same thing as my old one, so most, if not all, of my devices will just automatically connect to the new access point. Same thing with the password. Then I kept all the other settings the same as well. I did enable fast roaming for devices that have that compatibility. Now this is where I started doing segmentation of my network, not allowing everything to talk to everything else. I have a private secure LAN that is not wirelessly connected at all, and this is only used for my work, my PC, and my NAS boxes. This network is only allowed to connect to other products on the approved ports. No smart home hubs, no IoT home equipment, no other laptops or PCs or phones on the regular home network. All of those phones and laptops and PCs that usually are on the home network, they stay there. They never touch my work network. The work network is only for my PC and my NAS boxes because that's the only time that I need to access that information. Now, I recorded this before I put in the NAS boxes on the same LAN, but the same rules apply for any products that you want to put on a separate secure network. I also created a guest network for guests who connect to the internet whenever like friends and family come to visit. Then I created a regular home network for everything else. So that's my anything goes network, where phones, TVs, Chromecasts, wearables, IoT, smart home equipment, all that stuff is just gonna stay on the home network. So to do this, I created an IoT specific Wi-Fi account. I kept all the default options, and then I created a guest Wi-Fi network for anybody visiting. This one allows you to share access via a variety of options, including just a password, which is very OG, but the older generations in my family will appreciate this comfort level since that's what they are used to. I also had to go into classic settings in order to do this the way I wanted. So I went to classic settings, I disabled new user interface, and I clicked settings, wireless networks, create new, then add my guest SSID, added security key, and applied guest policies. I switched the network to LAN and I isolated this on layer 2 Ethernet level under L2 isolation. And then under user interface, I went back to the new user interface. Once finished, my guest network now appears under guest hotspot in the new UI under Wi-Fi settings. I did this setup months ago, so hopefully it's easier to do with the newer GUI now than it was when I did it. If not, I hope that Ubiquiti updates it. Now, under unified devices, you will notice my new Wi-Fi AP is now adopted, so I updated it since an update was available. Under networks, add a new network, and this is where I created my totally private work LAN. This page did not need any changes, so I just hit save. This sets my network up with 2 different LANs. Under unified devices, I click PoE switch, ports, click on port 1, which is the first port that I want to delegate for this specific private LAN. Then I chose port profile. Under this menu, I chose my new private LAN, and then I clicked manage port profiles and apply changes. Under internet threat management, edit LAN rules, and here I chose rule index 2000, click enable, block LAN new connections to the private LAN name, click drop all LAN in. Now that was a long process, kind of confusing, but it was much more advanced than what I could usually find off the shelf in a consumer grade router, and this gave me the segmentation that I really wanted for all of my devices. There's probably other ways to do it too, I'm sure there are. This is not the only setup option you could use, but it works well for my specific needs. And I have been using this setup officially for several months now, and I have had no hiccups. I know a few people were worried that having my switch and my UDM Pro right next to each other in the rack without any space between them would cause heat issues, but the room that they are in is very, very cold, and it also has a concrete floor, so it's constantly very cold in that room, and I have not run into any heat issues as of yet, and that has been running for 9 months. I know that this was a very long video, but I hope that it was helpful because it was a good process for me to go through, especially because I wanted that separated network that is just for secure connections only. Now, if you are interested in seeing my first ever networking rack build, check out the video here. And I also wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing, and I hope you enjoyed this project.